Welcome to the huddle. I'm Vahe Gregorian, Blair Kerkhoff on my left, and the return of Sam Mellinger now from his cushy staycation combo, which I was grilling him about before, and makes me realize that things are sort of the same as they were a week ago when it comes to the Royals. A little different, kind of evolving story. At least that's how I see it, but it's still the hot topic. And I just wonder, as you took some of that in last week, what sort of thoughts you're having now about them?
I feel like it's the same but more.
Right.
Is all that's happened. And I feel the same. I thought you had a really good column. I guess it was that Thursday night, ran in either Friday or Saturday's paper about Yordano Ventura needing to grow up, basically. And I think there's a lot to that. I think that Ventura and Kelvin Herrera in particular have done some things to sort of to egg this on, to draw the story out longer than it needed to. There's a place to stand up for your guys and protect your players and all that. That's fine, but pointing at the head, throwing behind, some of that stuff just needs to stop. It's not professional. It's not baseball, and it's given the Royals a bad look, I think.
Blair, one of the reasons I feel like my pendulum just keeps kind of swinging a little bit back and forth on this with each development. I always think of the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. The book was probably better than the movie, but my favorite scene in that is probably when Gregory Peck gets spit on and just takes out his handkerchief and wipes his face off and says, I can handle this and I'm staying cool. And yet I do kind of like the idea of somebody responding when they're spit on too. Well, are the Royals kind of in a bind that way? Are they the ones being antagonized?
To some extent, they are. And Ned Yost said this after one of the games in Chicago that they've started very little of this. Maybe they've some of the. I still go back to last year for some of it and the way the schedule set up for them this season. You think about who they've played so far this year and who might have a reason to be a little angry at the Royals just because they beat them last year. You got the A's. Right. We had the A's in for a series. They played the Angels. And, of course, the White Sox, not only here on opening day, but that was where the Royals clinched the playoff spot last year and celebrated for a long time on the field. So there were just some reasons. You can think of some reasons why some teams would be a little angry at the Royals coming into this year, and the Royals faced them early on. Having said that, though, the Royals didn't start the Beanball War. I mean, that was Samardzija on opening day.
Absolutely.
And I do think now that it's all built up and you can look back in hindsight that maybe the Royals should have retaliated and tried to put some of this behind them early instead of letting it fester, because I think the more it festered, it got pent up, and then the first time it exploded was the Lori slide, that night, that Friday night, and it just never seemed to calm down after that.
Well, we know that's going to be an ongoing story, and I really don't know how to picture how it will go, but we'll wait for things to happen and kind of keep reshaping our thoughts and keep writing about it and talking about it. Meanwhile, this is sort of an incredible week coming up overall. We got Kentucky Derby, the fight, we got Royals Tigers, and the NFL draft. Chiefs have, a lot to get done in this draft. Yeah. But they also don't have really one of those incredibly pivotal picks either. What do you think they need to come out of this with, Sam? And maybe particularly starting with the first round.
Well, I think the best thing that they've done this offseason is that they've put themselves in a position where they're not – if you don't sign Jeremy Maclin, you probably need to take a receiver in the first round. If you don't make that trade for Ben Grubbs, maybe you feel forced to go offensive line in the first round. But they've addressed a lot of that. Branch, helps the secondary depth. They've done a lot to sort of, address some of their more glaring holes. And, it's not a complete roster by any stretch.
Right.
But they have a lot of picks. I think they have 9 now after the trade for Grubbs. And so I just feel like they can be more fluid. I think they need a receiver. I think they still need a receiver. It just doesn't have to be in the first round. I think they need to address the offensive line still. Secondary, I think, needs some depth. There's a cornerback from Michigan State, Trey Waynes, I think, who might be a good fit there. And then an inside linebacker, I think. I mean, those are the ones that, at least the positions where I think they have the most need. I've heard some talk about Todd Gurley being a Chiefs pick, and that wouldn't make too much sense to me when you have Charles, who I know is closer to the end of his career than the beginning. But I like Niall Davis as still being that backup guy. I mean, Todd Gurley might be a great player, but I think the Chiefs have other places where they could go.
Gurley's going to be there. That's
Yeah, that's
one,
the thing,
I think
right,
that's the question.
right.
If he's there, do you take him as one of the best athletes available? I don't think Trey Waynes is going to be there at 18. I think that would be the pick for the Chiefs. I was intrigued by Therese Paylor's mock draft, his latest mock draft, and he had Cameron Irving, the Florida State offensive lineman, as the Chiefs pick at 18. And Irving's a fascinating guy. He was a defensive lineman in high school. He converted to an offensive lineman at Florida State. He was first team, I think this is right, first team All-ACC at tackle and third team All-ACC at center. He played both positions for the Seminoles, so that speaks to his versatility. Now, if he goes at 18 for the Chiefs, I think that's the highest I've seen him in any mock draft. So, I've also seen him out of the first round. One of the fascinating ideas to me is Shane Ray and the Missouri, the Missouri hybrid. Is he falling, and would he fall to the Chiefs? And if so, would they have a decision to make there?
Well, nobody will know it better than Therese, and I think he's watching film as we speak, and it's just like he's an NFL personnel man, and I think we'll get some instant reaction from him on Thursday night and more leading up. So please stay in tune with us on kansascity.com and check us out on our apps, and we look forward to talking to you next week.